What completely legal substance are you addicted to?
Benadryl. A lifetime of adult insomnia led me to search for stronger sleep cocktails, and I took a Benadryl with melatonin. It got so bad I was up to a few every night, but happy to report now I am down to a half and going to go down to 0 soon. Stay off of it. Using anticholinergics like Benadryl chronically is linked to Alzheimer's. When I had a cold, I use this nasal spray that shrinks the blood vessels in the nose and makes it easier for you to breathe. It is an over-the-counter drugstore item and you don't need a prescription. Once you stop using it, your nose clogs up, or at least it feels like it, because you used to breathe like a superhero for a week. The longer you use, the worse the withdrawals are. I couldn't properly breathe without it, so I ended up using it for almost half a year. Edit. In case someone is interested, I kicked the habit by buying a few standard saline, sodium chloride, spray. It's just salt water that helps clean and treat dryness in the nasal passages. I used one for a few weeks, and while I still had serious trouble breathing through my nose, it greatly helped. I also slept in an elevated position with like 3 pillows. It took me almost a month to feel like I was breathing well, but stood not as well as I was with the other stuff. I was looking for this. I've been using xylometazoline spray for well over a year. I've only ever used it before going to sleep, but still that's 1 dose a day for like 14 months. My nasal mucosa is fucked. I'm now a week into a cold withdrawal and it's not fun. At this point I can breathe relatively freely when I go to bed, but I wake up very early with a dirt dry mouth and throat and completely clogged nose. If you're reading this and you've been given this nasal spray to help with the cold, for the love of God, don't use it longer than the packaging says. Trust me, that's a road you don't want to go down. Pharmacist here. It's 3 days. Do not use Afrin, oxymetazoline, for longer than 3 days. If I ever see someone buying this, I always warn them of the high likelihood of addiction and not to use longer than 3 days. Totally. I love using it any time I have a cold, but I strictly stick to the 3-day rule, and even then I feel as if there are lingering effects for a few days after. I personally buy a new bottle of Afrin every time I fly. It stays in my carry-on and it's the first thing I will offer during an in-flight medical emergency. Something the general population doesn't know is that it's really easy to go up in altitude because the air gently escapes your sinuses, but if they're blocked upon descent, it's the most excruciating pain you can know. A shot of Afrin can save someone from serious injury, and I'd like an unopened bottle just in case, even if I never get to use it. Experienced this landing in Barbados. I thought my face had exploded. Until reading this, I had no idea what had happened. Thank you for solving this very old mystery. Lip balm. I used to eat lip balm. Thank you for your service. Not so much anymore, but I was very addicted to peanut butter. It was somehow incorporated into every meal of the day for me for some time, but one day I just stopped. Doritos. I was a massive addict. I used to buy a couple whole boxes of them. I used to drive to Frito-Lay's to buy them directly from the factory, because that was the only place where you could go to buy this much without people asking questions. What makes me stop was in one occasion I went to a Colmado. It's pretty much a 7-Eleven or mini market here in Dominican Republic. Told the guy, give me this just on Doritos. Was about 800 DPO, which is $14 USD. One personal bag of Doritos is 25 DPO here. Around 30 something bags of Doritos. The guy looked at me and told me, damn, you just wiped my whole shelf. Now I need to call Frito-Lay's to bring me a couple boxes. I looked at the empty shelf. I was so embarrassed and disgusted of myself. On my way walking home, I started to give them away to people. I kept like 3 bags, ate them, and since then I slowly were reducing my number of Doritos at weeks for the next couple months. I still love them, but I don't have the impulse anymore. Hello fellow Dominican chip addict. Just curious, how old are you? I'm 32 and I can tell you exactly when I became addicted. It was during the late 90s Pokemon's Tarzos, Pogs craze. I would go to the store, ask the person working there to shake and feel the bags to see if they had extra Tarzos. Then go home and open up 6 bags in a row, looking for the Pokemon. I'm trying hard not to eat as many chips now though. Potato chips, salt and vinegar especially. I can eat entire family bags of them in a sitting. I've been making serious efforts to cut that out lately. I've been chip-free for almost a week, and yet the crisps call to me. Edit. Sweet Mother of God. This post really exploded. To answer a lot of comments at once, I've been exposed to enough of them that my mouth barely reacts. I don't burn or tingle at all. Worst reaction is sometimes it gets a little dry, but besides that, I've built up an immunity to salt apparently. And here's a fun tip. Mix salt and vinegar with dill pickle. They balance each other really well. Salt and vinegar hit different. I don't even necessarily like the taste, but the second I eat one of the entire bag's finished. Most addictive chip, in my opinion. I have a family member that got addicted to rice cakes, like Quaker Oats rice cakes. She would send her son into the store to buy them because she was embarrassed of going into the store so much and the cashiers recognizing her buying all these rice cakes. She would leave them in all kinds of places throughout the house, in drawers at work, in her car, etc. I'm dying just writing this. When she took a trip to Hawaii, she took a bag and filled them with rice cakes because she was worried the island wouldn't have the ones she liked. Her husband was like, "What the fuck?" when he got there and opened the bag. She actually got talked to by her boss at work because the janitor told on her that she had all these crumbs around her desk constantly. She wasn't fat or a gross person or weird. She just got this addiction to rice cakes for like 9 months straight. Said she knew she had a problem with them and it was all she could think about at times. But it seriously was like an addiction. So funny. We still talk about it 25 years later. I'm not assuming anything about your family member, but rice cakes are a stereotypical food that people with eating disorders eat. Like it's on ED starter pack memes. That's how common it is. Nail on the head. The food hoarding behavior, taking a bag full of rice cakes on vacation, is also common in people with EDs. We do it out of fear of being away from our safe foods. Legit, that's quite a few ED check marks so far. 1. Rice cakes. 2. Shame buying them at the store. 3. Hoarding. I feel kind of bad that they still talk about it like 25 years later because it's so funny. I really hope she's okay with that and it's not a reminder of a low point in her life. Was liquor and sadness. Currently is Pokemon cards and a lot less sadness. Not great, but I see this as an absolute win. Haven't played in 20 years. How is it nowadays? With the recent popularity, scalpers have come in and cleaned out pretty much every major retailer. The prices to buy sealed product is marked up at least 50%, if not 150%. Other than that, I love the hobby. They are doing some really cool arts and even full sets of shiny Pokemon. Oreos. I can knock down a sleeve before looking down. It only stops when the stomach pain sets in, and even if it subsides for a moment, that moment will be filled with an Oreo. Wow, thank you so much for the gold. I didn't expect this to take off. Your replies have been making me laugh for hours. Thank you again. I can do a line of Oreos, no problem. Ever had black shits from Oreos? That's when you know you've gone a step too far. Junk food. And while not a substance, going to the store to buy the junk food is also an addiction I have. Oh, second part hits home. I spend so much time deciding what to snack on at the stores. Just looking at the aisle pleases me. This makes me feel better about the 10-15 minutes I spend in the store staring at candy, then going to the chips, and then back to the candy, trying not to look weird, just staring at the same damn aisle of candy that was there the time before. Sweet Baby Ray's Honey Chipotle Barbecue Sauce. I had a bad accident as a kid from drinking what I thought was Kool-Aid, but nope, so a very good portion of my tongue and cheeks got scar tissue. Since then I haven't been able to taste a lot of foods. I literally cannot taste most bread, crackers, light soup broths, a few juices, etc. The worst easily is that I cannot taste most red meats. But for some reason, I'm super sensitive to honey and smoky flavors, and that sauce was a godsend. I'm no medical doctor and I don't know how to explain it, but when I use it on something, I not only taste the sauce, but I can actually taste a lot of foods I couldn't before, so I put it on everything like a weirdo. In the same vein, I also keep a small bottle of ghost pepper hot sauce as well, but mostly for pasta, as chipotle barbecue doesn't seem to work with most red sauces, but the ghost pepper does. Edit. First award, thank you, friendos. Also, story time. Since you are interested, please mind my grammar typing on my phone during lunch break. My mom remarried when I was 5 and my stepdad's family lived in Ensenada, Mexico. My grandmama worked this portable fish taco stand for all the tourists who got off the cruise ships. I remember going with her to the port, seeing this nice jug of what I thought was delicious Kool-Aid or fruit punch. She was talking to some fisherman with my mother next to her, and when her back was turned, I just opened it up and took about 2 or 3 gulps. My mum turns around, swatted whatever was out of my hands, and starts screaming at my grandmother in Spanish. A huge argument breaks out. Everyone's freaking out for a good minute before it hits me. Now keep in mind, I'm a little white boy, barely can speak English, don't know a lick of Spanish, and everyone's freaking out. I must have done something bad, but what? And as I thought that, my entire throat, mouth and stomach started burning. I instantly threw up all over my grandmama's cart and the fisherman that came out to grab me. A veritable mix of half-digested dinosaur chicken nuggets, fries, milk and blood ruined this guy's shirt. My entire chest is on fire, and then I don't remember anything until waking up with a tube in my mouth on a white bed. I literally had to relearn how to eat over a year and had to take speech therapy courses later on in life because of it. I never asked what it was exactly. My thought was some sort of cleaner or fuel. The cart had a small generator on it for the fryers. It was bright red though and looked like it was in a gallon milk jug. Wish I could give you more details, but that's all I remember. I'll shoot my mother the question. She may remember better than me. Edit 2. Wow, more awards. Thanks. Happy you guys enjoy the story. So my mother believes it was some sort of diesel fuel, but it was kind of cheap and homemade. And another reason my mouth and specifically tongue was so affected was when I blacked out. A mixture of that fuel and stomach acid apparently pooled in my mouth according to the doctor, so it stayed there for almost half an hour before they cleaned it out, which kind of shocks me. I thought someone would have cleaned my mouth out or something, but I don't know. The fisherman that carried me also apparently ended up dating my grandmama for a while before she passed away, which is another neat fact I only just learned today, so it's kind of cool. And to answer another question I've suddenly got asked a bit, I can taste just some, certain tastes I can't. It's tough to put into words because I don't recall enough beforehand to remember. Best way I can think to describe it is like when you walk into a kitchen and smell something cooking and it's supposed to taste how it smells. It's like being able to fully smell the food, but when it's in your mouth it's muted and bland. It doesn't happen to all flavors though. Heavy stews, a lot of fried foods, smoky flavors, and food stuff that uses honey, I can taste it in a normal fashion. And again, smothering food in that sweet baby rays.